I keep touching my hair because I'm just that person. Like every time I get a little bit of hair, I can't stop myself from doing this every time. So we're gonna try this in the living room again. I don't like the faces, so I tried to cut the faces out. This is my dog, Bernie. He's taking a nap. He heard his name, that's why he opened his eyes. He usually doesn't like, I'm trying to talk kind of slow because he don't like me disturbing his rest. We'll see how long he'll hang out with us. So I just got back from Cape Town, and if you can hear it in my voice, a time was had, right? My last day, I came down with something, so I'm a little sick, but I feel much better, and so I decided to get up and do a video. But my voice is just gonna be a little deep today. So first of all, I want to start this video off with a huge thank you to Rashida, Stephanie, and Francis for bringing the Exodus community together in Cape Town. It was phenomenal. We had an amazing time. And I want to talk a little bit about what I got from the event and what I've gotten from the Exodus community as a whole. So if you guys know anything about me, I've been traveling across Europe with my 2 Chihuahua mixes. My journey started when I was inspired by Stephanie Perry and Rashida Dow. And just to see them pack up their lives and decide to go live abroad was so unreal, because it was like I had never seen Black women doing this. I had never seen just single women doing it. And so I felt like, well, why can't I do it too? You know, well, why can't I go out there and live my best life? And so that's really what got me started on my journey and traveling. So I probably got introduced to Exodus community back in like 2022, which is still fairly recent. I know there's people who have been in the community for like years. I met one lady who was like, I was watching Stephanie's videos when she only had like 10 followers. And, you know, she talking about quit my job, and I was listening. And I was like, okay. For me, I think one of the videos was like suggested to me by somebody else I was following. And you know, they have the catchy titles like, hey, Black woman. And I was like, I'm Black, I'm a woman. And it just spoke to me. I feel like I had a lot of things leading me up to this moment where now I'm in Albania and I've been traveling for a year, and it's all because I was inspired by these women. I talked about this a lot in one of my previous videos. So 2022 was a very difficult year for me. I lost 3 very important people: my mom, my godfather, and my mom's best friend, who was like an aunt to me. And shortly after that happened, I was sort of embraced by this community, and I saw these videos of these women living their lives to the fullest, you know, having freedom in every sense of the word. And it really just inspired me to take my own life into my hands and be the one in control. And I think for me, you know, I don't know if they want to be this or not, but it seems like I lost very important people in my life, and the universe, God, whoever, brought so many aunties into my life, so many like mother figures, so many big cousins, so many like, you know, grandmas. And, you know, I mean it in a very respectful way, not in a, I'm not trying to like prostrate or anything like that, but it just felt like where I was feeling this immense void in my life, I was just sort of brought into this community of women who were older than me, who had so much varied life experience, who I could just look to and feel supported by. And that's been a very, very special part of being a part of the community. So I met Stephanie and Rashida in 2023 at the London meetup, just before we all went to Morocco. At that point, I had been solo traveling by myself for about a month. I had finally made the leap. I had gotten my dogs over to Europe, and I had a plan, but it was kind of like a shaky plan. It was kind of like, what am I doing? Is this crazy? I was still in those early stages of thinking that like I had blew up my life for no reason. And so I attended the Exodus Summit meetup in London, and I almost didn't go because there were some reservations I had about the Exodus community. Initially, I felt like because a lot of the women are, how do I say this in a way, older than I am, that there would be no one I could talk to. There'd be no, like, what can I really get from it if everybody's like much older than me? And then also just like me being an introvert, I get sort of anxious at the thought of going into situations where I have to be extrovert or I have to communicate with people in a way, but it just wasn't that. The ladies met me with so much warmth, and Rashida like forced me to, I'm saying forced, to get people's numbers and be like, okay, you need to leave here with at least one person's number. This is a person who you reach out to. But, you know, she did that and I was kind of cringing. But at the same time, I get why she did that, because now that I've been traveling for a year, I still have those ladies' numbers. I still reach out to them sometimes. And it's like being able to have a feeling that even though you're alone in the place that you are, you're never lonely, because there's always going to be somebody who's going to check up on you. The Exodus community has been so safe for me, and so I don't know what to say except it's inspiring, right? Because like it's meant so much to me to just come downstairs to the hotel room and have just a room full of ladies greet me and just walk into arms. That's literally how it feels when you go to an Exodus Summit meeting. You walk into someone's embrace, and that's just been very powerful. It's been a powerful force in my life, propelling me forward, that I have those ladies as my support. And I hope I can also be a support to them as well. But where was I in the story? I just went on a little tangent. It's my video. Yeah, so basically I went to the Exodus Summit meetup in London. And then from there we went to Morocco. It's the same experience you have of like, you know, 100 Black women taking over a space and just everybody being on the same page with you, like your ideas. And like, you know, if you've ever felt like you had a moment where, am I the only person who feels this way? Does anybody else see this happening? Yes, we see you. We feel the same way. That affirming that whatever you've been thinking or feeling, or that intuition that you have that something doesn't sit right, you have 100 people saying, I see you, I feel you, I also feel the same way. Another thing for me is, so I'm a writer, and I think that makes me naturally a little bit nosy. And then I think also if you ask people the right questions, they want to tell you their story. So to see so many different women with so many different stories still come together under the same idea almost is phenomenal. I think that as somebody on the younger end of the spectrum, to be able to see that there's not one way that life can play out has been really motivating. I think that society puts all of these pressures on young women to be partnered, to be mothers, to make a certain amount of money, to reach a certain level of status in your career, whatever it is. And then you have like, you know, so many women that are like, hey, I was married and unhappy. Hey, I had these kids. I don't know if I wanted these kids. I didn't even give myself time to figure out if I wanted these kids, you know. Or, you know, you'll have people who are like, yeah, I was the CEO of this, and I have this many accolades. I have this, I'm a doctor, and all these other things. And these are highly accomplished women who decided to just divest from everything because they discovered that it didn't serve them. And so I feel like for me, being on the opposite end of the spectrum and having yet to reach whatever it is I'm supposed to reach, right? And looking at their lives as examples or just different stories when trying to figure out how I'm going to piece my own life together and having all of these nuances in place, it really brings in a new perspective to that I can bring into my own life. You know, like I don't have to take the path that's been laid out for me. I don't have to feel like a failure because I didn't hit certain milestones that other people are hitting or that I thought I was supposed to hit by this time. Yeah, I think it's very powerful. And I also feel like, you know, I've been able to meet other women who are around my age in the Exodus community. We're all on the same page. We're all like, you know, toiling away at jobs that we don't really like or doing something that we don't whatever, and we're figuring it out. So it's nice to see other women who are still figuring it out, but still trying to live life to the fullest. Like, build this sort of global network of women who make me feel safe, who, if I get into some trouble, I really feel like I could call them. And I think it's extremely important, especially if you're going to travel solo, that you have this network, this community of women. There have been women who, you know, I was in Spain, people in the community reached out to me. Who else is in Spain? Are you in Spain? Let's grab some coffee. Let's take a walk. And even having that makes you not feel so alone, even though you're traveling alone. All right, so stay tuned for part 2. I'm going to get into my adventures in Cape Town.